had so many dreams that were outside of the box, so many dreams that nobody believed in. But I'm going to tell you what, I believed in them. And I had to be the first person to stand on stage confidently on my 2 feet and look everybody in the eyes and say, I believe, before anybody else believed in me.
This is BizNinja Entrepreneur Radio with your host, Tyler Jorgenson.
Welcome out to BizNinja Entrepreneur Radio. I am your host, Tyler Jorgenson, and for over 10 years, I have been interviewing today's top entrepreneurs and bringing their stories to you. It's been a wild ride of interviewing people for this past decade. And as we start yet another season of the show, I always like to kick it off with someone who can bring the heat and bring the fire. And so I brought my friend and colleague on, and someone who I greatly, I have a lot of gratitude to my life that I get to call this person a friend, because his entrepreneurial story is really remarkable. So welcome out to the show, Elijah Desmond.
Hello, everybody. Man, I wish we could play some music, but we might get it taken down if this goes up on YouTube or Apple.
Oh yeah, it gets tricky with all the new DCMA stuff. But Elijah, you've got one of the coolest entrepreneurial stories that I know. But my first question for you is, when was that first moment in your life when you realized that you were an entrepreneur?
Man, I don't know if I was an entrepreneur or when I wanted to be. I'll go back to when I wanted to be. Is me as like probably a 7 or 8 year old kid walking into the basement that was turned into a beauty salon of my dad, and going down and asking him for some money to go buy some new shoes in the mall. And I needed bus money too, because I was going to get on the bus. And I wasn't going by myself as an 8-year-old. I was going with my older cousins. And he pulled out a wad of cash, like big, huge wad, 20s, 100s, ones, just every kind of word. And he pulled it out and he just kept giving me money. And he probably gave me like $100 and something, so not that much, but it seemed like the most money in the world. And I got this repeatedly over and over every single time I would go and ask for money. And I got money this one time, and I walked up the steps and I went to go leave. And my real name is Elijah, but my nickname is Bo. And I'll never forget it. He goes, Bo, come back down here. And I'm like, oh my God. I walk back down the steps and he's like, hand me back that money. And I'm like, why? And he's like, you're going to learn to say thank you. And he really didn't give me the money back. And I walked back up the stairs, and I'll never forget walking out of that door like, man, I want to be like him when I grow up, and I'm going to have my own business one day. And it's just been engraved in my head that I'm going to be an entrepreneur just like him, so I can have the ability to give money and I don't have to rely on it.
But you know what's interesting is that you are one of the people that I've experienced in my business career who embodies gratitude. And that story seems like it was part of that, building that part of who you are as well.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the words "I appreciate you" go so far. A lot of times people want, think like material things go far. Getting somebody a little bag of something, or a little pen, or a little water bottle. But a lot of times it's looking somebody in the eye and saying like, I appreciate you. Like that goes so far, because the opposite doesn't go far at all, right? You work your butt off for somebody and they don't just say like, thanks, or I appreciate you. It's the opposite effect.
Absolutely. So your journey of entrepreneurship wasn't necessarily, it's like most of ours, was not like a straight road. So you started as a dental professional, right? And then tell us a little bit about the journey of how you went from like having a job back to like coming back to the entrepreneurial world.
Absolutely. Well, first off, let's just go ahead and call it like it is. I was slanging warheads. Those things that are real sour, you can probably taste it in your mouth right now. I was slanging warheads, some for like 25 cents per warhead or 5 for $1. Eventually, I started having my mom get the big boxes from Sam's Club, and I made a lot of money as a kid. And then eventually I moved on and learned that my lawnmower worked for other yards other than mine. And I started using that lawnmower and wheeling it around the city. My dad's on the weekends, and the lawnmower it needed new wheels pretty soon. And then I got a second one, and it was pretty easy for me to go to knock on doors and to say like, hey, I'd love to cut your grass for $10. And even though I was undercharging, like people knew it. I was this like cute little kid that was just out there hustling, doing the right thing. And I would get like a double or triple tip sometimes. So, and I knew I was undercharging. I knew what I was doing, but I did a really good job, and I over delivered constantly. And I had repeat customers. I grew that business. It's funny. After I stopped mowing lawns, one of my dad's biggest businesses to date is a lawn care service. And so anyways, I started mowing lawns, and after mowing lawns, did picking strawberries as a kid. I always had 2-3 jobs. And one thing led to the next. I realized that like I didn't like hard work, as in picking manual labor, sweating. The only time I like to sweat is when I go to the gym. And I said, man, my uncle's a dentist, my aunt's a hygienist, my mom's an office manager. I want to do something where I'm in air conditioning. And that led me down the dental space, and went to school to be a dental hygienist, tested into college early at 15 years old. And 6 years later, graduated, moved to Hawaii, started the first of 20 businesses, mostly in the dental space, and now in the events space that's not just in dentistry, crypto events, veterinary events, nursing events, basically big in the event space, DJing, emceeing. And so anyways, the entrepreneurial world though started at, the warheads and started this small stuff. And now it's led on to some way bigger things.
Yeah. You're doing some huge things. And so you host events, you come in, and for people that don't know, Elijah is a awesome DJ and an amazing MC. He brings amazing energy to any room. You've got some really cool, you've got several different paths, right? Which I think a lot of people, there is a saying that the man who chases two rabbits catches none. But you are someone who I see pursue multiple parts of your personality and your vision. How do you balance growth with being focused?
First off, here's what I believe. I believe you can chase a lot of rabbits, but it's the way you chase them, right? And so I also believe in casting a net and chasing rabbits in the same area. So at first, as an entrepreneur, I used to chase like really colorful rabbits, and I would trip over my own feet, right? I'm 35 years old. I've started over 20 businesses, right? So I can't say like when I was younger, but I'm still pretty young, I think, right? But look, I used to chase a lot of really colorful rabbits and all over the place. And as the years progressed, like I realized that I can only chase like one colorful rabbit in a certain direction. But I can chase multiple rabbits as long as they're in the same direction. I can chase multiple rabbits, and I have to use a certain type of net. And I've essentially mastered an ecosystem with a certain niche, right? And so my niche is essentially these rabbits that are really fun, and rabbits that are happy, and rabbits that are in the event space. And I've mastered that niche. And so what I would recommend, and what I've gotten really good at is not chasing everything. I used to chase everything because I'm capable of everything. I'm not afraid to lose. I do take risks, but I'm calculated at taking risks now, where I was just a straight risk taker before. And what I've realized though is that through all of the failures of chasing those shiny rabbits, that I can still chase them. I just can't chase all of them. And so the takeaway there was that it took me some failures and the falling face forward, falling in the mud, falling forward, that you can actually do multiple things. You can chase multiple rabbits. You just can't chase them all.
Right. So you limit the type of things that you go after so that you can still maintain momentum, and they kind of all build the momentum upon each other. How important is it to building a quality team in your success?
It's everything, because especially if you're a visionary. So I'm a visionary. I'm not I'm not an integrator. So it's super important to have an integrator on your team, or to partner with an integrator, a business partner, a VP, executive on your team. Because a visionary can only get you so far. An integrator and having the experts within your team is everything. When I was a team of one, or if I had a team of me and multiple different business owners within different businesses, I was on the treadmill and I wasn't going far. And then all of a sudden, when I started hiring the experts and growing, even though I was making a lot less money, I had a lot more freedom, and I was able to create and then grow that business. And eventually that business grew a lot more. So finding the experts and finding the people to essentially that are able to do things way better than I am, had more time than me, had more knowledge than me, was everything. And that's where maximum growth happens, is when essentially you find people that are better than you at multiple different things.
You've done, I think you mentioned over 20, right? I know of probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 of your businesses. How do you, like, one, what advice do you have from people who are trying to make the jump from employee to business owner? And then 2, if you can remember both of these, because it's going to be a long answer, I think, is how do you decide when to stop? So like, how do you start and when do you call it?
Right. So if you're trying to make the jump from employee to business owner, I would say, first off, milk that current position for everything that it's worth. So what do I mean by that? That means be the biggest rock star in your position, that you make your business owner so uncomfortable that they want to offer you equity in their business, or that they will support you in your own business endeavor. Right? Let me say that again. Do such an amazing job at what you do that you make them uncomfortable, to make them want to give you equity. And I'm not just saying that. I practice what I preach, right? I have some rock star people on my team, and if you're with me for long enough and you prove it, you will get equity in my company. It's the truth. And I will also empower every one of my team members at this point where they show rock star status to the full tilt, to say, you want to start a business, let's start one together, right? Because I don't want to lose you. Let's start a business together. And I want to empower you within that business itself. But the only way that I would do that is if you show out, right? If you show that you have every single thing that it takes to run a business. You can be a entrepreneur all day and work within somebody's business, and they will feed you. They will give you the water. They will give you the food. They will give you all the tools to grow within their business until you come to the point to where you got to do something next. The only thing that's obvious is, I think, get equity in that business, or essentially start your own. And I would say a lot of the entrepreneurs out there are probably going to support you in starting that other business, because a lot of times you're not just going to quit. You need to have an income stream while you're building the other one. And look, good people don't want to let other good people go. I build people within my industry, within my business. I want them to grow big and have no ceilings, be able to, make more, be able to essentially move on to that next level within my business or businesses, and then also have the ability to start something on their own. And I want to support them to do that. The only way that happens is if you come every day, give your 110%, and grow within the company.
Yep. I fully agree with that. I think that's powerful. It's Seth Godin calls that the linchpin, right? You got to be the one who you're irreplaceable if you actually want that level of opportunity. Now, you've started a lot of businesses. So that second question of how do you decide when a business has run its life or no longer is serving you? Because sometimes they're not the same answer.
Yeah, absolutely. I do pie charts and I do pros and cons, right? So my pie charts kind of go something like this. In a pie chart, you have multiple businesses. I have multiple businesses. How much time does this take me? Okay. How much, and however much time it is compared to this business, compared to that business. How much energy do I spend on it? Like, energy and time are different for me. I can give something a half hour of my time, but it drains the energy out of me. Like it's like 80% of energy. That's not a business that I want. That's the life of it is done. It's obvious, right? And also financially, how much money does it bring me back? What, right? So if I'm getting of a whole pie, if I'm getting 70% of my income is coming from something that I spent 20% of my time, that's probably a good business to keep, right? But if I'm only getting like 10% of my income for something that's taking 75% of my time, that's probably a business that I should drop. That means that it's run its course, or it doesn't make sense. So that's when I'll drop that business and I'll move to the next thing, right? Doesn't make sense to me to keep it. So I basically will just logically look at things, or I'll make pros and cons. Also, like, I'm extremely why driven and purpose driven. I won't do a business for money, right? It just doesn't make sense. I will do a business if it brings me happiness and joy, right? I'm a community person. Like, I help people do events. I help people make communities. I help people bring happiness right together. So like, I'm very why driven. And so if it's not bringing me energy or bringing people energy, and if it's just for money, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. There's a whole bunch of work, but there's a huge pile of money. Oh man, this is going to make you so many millions of dollars. Like, you're talking to the wall, because I'm not paying no attention. I don't care about the $50 million. Like, sorry, you're talking to the wrong guy. Go talk to that guy, because it's not me. But if you say, like, you're going to have so much joy because you're going to save all these little kids' lives. Like, you're going to save their lives. They're going to go and they were going to commit suicide because they're really unhappy. But your message, in just 3 days, you can go and you can impact them so much. They're all going to want to come and give you the biggest hug ever. And you're going to be so impactful for these kids. You only are going to make like $750, but you're going to impact them so much. You're going to play music, you're going to dance, you're going to be able to do a cannonball off this huge cliff that's very safe. Everybody jumps off of it. You're going to do a huge cannonball, and then you're going to go on a hot air balloon. But then the next person that comes around, and they're like, listen, there's this thing that you're going to have to do, and it's a lot of work, and you're going to have to go through pay for it, this and that, but it's a workaround to this, and you're going to have to work with some knuckleheads. But you know what? After 2 years, you're going to make like 50 million. There's a chance you can make 50 million, but worst case scenario, you're going to make 2 million, but you might be miserable, but you're only going to be miserable for 6 months. I can completely shut you off. I don't care about your money. Tell me where the kids are at. Tell me where the music is. Tell me where the vibes are at. 'Cause I don't care about the money. I care about the why and the purpose. That's where my life is at when it comes to energy.
So I feel like you have a good amount of clarity on your why, right? And I hear this a lot, like, what's your why? But it's candidly something I don't deeply understand, right? I'm driven by a lot of the same kind of things you are, but I've never really understood that. How does somebody find their why?
I don't think that the why really is something that you can go and search for. I think the why appears in time, right? I don't think that you can go on a hunt for your why. I think that the why finds you. I don't think that you find it. And I don't think that there's a roadmap to finding your why. I think that some people find their why at 60 years old, 65 years old. I think that some people find their why early. I think I found my why really, really early. I know that many of my friends don't have their why. Some of them do, but most of them don't. And that's okay. They're married, they have families, they have their business, but they still haven't found like that thing, that ultimate purpose. And that's totally okay, because it's normal. I just think that I found mine really, really early in life.
I appreciate that your answer wasn't like, well, here's the formula, right? Because I don't think it's that simple. I think I agree with you on that. You got a lot of great things coming up, right? Tell us about some of the things that you've got on your horizon.
Yes. Well, I will tell you that, tell you what I don't have. So funny. I feel like I had this conversation about a year ago. I was going on tour. I just got off tour. I've been on tour on this tour bus. I bought a luxury tour bus, went on tour for 7 months, and DJ'd at a huge venue at the end of the tour every single time. I'd stop in cities along the way. I feel like the last podcast I had like this, like, what do you have on the horizon? The next city, no more of that. I'm now going to fly into places and fly out. That was draining. But what's on the horizon for me? So What's different is I was emceeing and DJing events at the same time, right? I have decided that I'm no longer going to do that. I've decided I'm either going to DJ or I'm going to MC. That's what's first on the horizon. I'm not going to do both because emceeing is amazing and I kill it. Hype man all day. Music, transitions between every single speaker. You're on your feet. I'm killing it, right? It could be draining if you're on the mix tables and you're having a bunch of drinks, partying it up with everybody on the dance floor, making them go wild the night before, and then you got to get up and be on for the next 2 days. So that's what I'm not doing. That's what you're like, Elijah, but I just asked what was on the horizon. You told me what's not. So I will be doing a lot of DJing and emceeing. I'm super excited for PodFest and VidFest. Those are big events. People fly in from all over the world for like one of the biggest podcaster events. All the podcasters fly in. Chris Komitsos is the owner of that. Super excited and honored to be doing that event. I just got invited to DJ for Nerve Entrepreneurial Organization. Their big event is Nerve, so I get to DJ for that event, which is an honor. Really, really, really big deal. I'm going to be doing a cryptocurrency cruise into the metaverse. So I get to DJ that, which is huge. A veterinary cruise called Falls at Sea. That's going to be really fun. Have you heard of Groove Cruise, Tyler?
A Groove Cruise? I haven't.
Groove Cruise is like kind of like Coachella, but on a cruise ship. It's like 100 artists.
Wow.
I'm going to be doing that. Headed out to Cabo to DJ that. I'm going to be doing the hip hop section in that. It's going to be really cool. So that's on the horizon. I'm going to be doing a documentary on writing my book called Hype. And
Nice.
that'll be fun. Hype is all about planning events, and going on tour, emceeing industry influencers, how to plan a successful event. My last event, we had almost 1,000 people show up to it, and people want to know, how do you get people to show up to an event? And you're a big part of that. You helped us do the marketing for that event and build a beautiful website and help with all the funnels. So I couldn't thank you enough for doing that for us. It's just, a lot of fun is on the horizon, but those are I'm going to Egypt too. I get to go to Egypt and go take care of the kiddos, the orphanage, and go on a cruise there.
You got a lot of good stuff. And so Pete, you're around the internet in a few places. People can find you at ElijahDesmond.com. They can learn on Instagram, your DJ_smiles_. Got to get those double underscores happening. And if you've got like one message for an entrepreneur who may be struggling, like maybe hurting, what would you have to say for them?
You're almost there. Do not give up. You are almost there. And I'm going to tell you this. It takes one person to believe in you. It takes one single person. You can look at my LinkedIn. I just posted about this yesterday. It takes one person to believe in you. It takes one person to give you that opportunity. Listen closely. You've been looking for that one person probably for a very long time to give you that first opportunity, that huge breakthrough, that huge deal. And I need you to look in the mirror. That one person is you. You need to believe in yourself before you expect anybody else to believe in you. I had so many dreams that were outside of the box, so many dreams that nobody believed in. But I'm going to tell you what, I believed in them. And I had to be the first person to stand on stage confidently on my 2 feet and look everybody in the eyes and say, I believe, before anybody else believed. And believe it or not, finally somebody said, I believe you too. Then the next person, to take one person to clap before the rest of the crowd starts clapping as well. One person in the crowd has to start clapping, but you got to be the first clapper. You got to be the first person to believe in you. So keep pushing.
I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wherever you are listening, we thank Elijah for coming out on the show. And don't forget that it is your turn to go out and do something.